What's that like with him?
Well, Donna's a superstar, and she limits my job at home to lifting heavy objects, really helping her when she needs help with the kids, and special occasions. What I'm getting at is she lets me be a coach, and she's a superstar. She's tough. She's a disciplinarian with our kids. She's tough on me, but she's just a wonderful wife, and she just encourages me and allows me to try to dedicate myself to my kids away from home, by the kids that are on my team. And she just gets it, and she helps me, and she's the best thing that ever happened to me by far.
As a player, as a coach, assistant, head coach, player, what would be the best moment you've been through in college basketball? If there's one that stands out, and why would that be?
Well, it's very difficult, and I'm not going to answer the question. I would say as a young assistant making the Final Four, beating Syracuse to go to a Final Four and get that experience at Illinois as a young coach at Rowan. It's probably going to my first Final Four was really, really special. And then, of course, winning the national championship at '96. At University of Maine, it was getting to the conference championship game a couple times and knocking off some big-name teams, Providence, Marquette, and St. Louis and Northwestern. And then at LaSalle had a 12-year losing streak when we got there, and our first year was a rebuilding year. Our second year, we had a team that I called my unforgettables. They broke the LaSalle losing streak. We finished third in the A-10. I remember Steve Smith's senior day. We beat a good St. Louis team in front of a packed Gola gym, and that day you really knew LaSalle was back on the right track.
Field of 68, you like it? New format, tournament?
I'm for expanding the tournament for this reason. As coaches, we know that if you had a game between the 100th best team in the country and the 30th best team in the country, probably the home court team is going to be favored in that game. The gap between 50 teams, let's say in the RPI, is so small. And again, I would say that if you look at the Sagan data or any kind of prediction system, that the home court's going to be favored. So why not let more teams in? Because you're talking about a lot of good teams out there, teams that don't have a big difference between the two of them, and it just gives more kids a chance to have this special experience. It's far more special than I ever even anticipated. You have 5 programs who have all been to a Final Four. It's truly a college basketball town. People in Philadelphia, especially in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they've watched the best teams in the country in Philadelphia. The Palestra back in the day was a home court to all 5 teams before people built their own facilities. So people in Philadelphia are used to double headers and triple headers of the best teams in the country. St. Joe's Final Four has been #1 in the country. Temple's been to a Final Four, and numerous Elite Eights with Coach Cheney been #1 in the country. And you just have seen these great teams over the years and these great rivalries, and it's a college basketball town as much as it's a pro town.
Dayton's arena is really tough to play.
Well, hopefully cohesiveness, just people caring about each other, effort certainly, and from a style point of view, hopefully we're playing in a way that suits our personnel. So I would say playing intelligently based on our personnel, guys that care about each other, and a team that really gives great effort.
Who was the biggest influence on your coaching career coming up through the ranks, and why would that be?
I would probably say that there were 2 assistant coaches. I was a grad assistant at North Texas, and head coaches are very busy. And there was an assistant coach there named Dennis Helms, who after North Texas went on to be a legendary junior college coach. He coached Larry Johnson at Odessa Junior College, and Moochie Norris and Rodney Dent and Alvin Robertson, a great NBA player back in the day. And Dennis is just a legendary guy, but he would bring me over to his house and talk basketball. We'd watch football. And then at Illinois, again, I was a grad assistant under Coach Henson, a legendary head coach, almost 800 career wins. But there was an assistant coach, Mark Coombs, that did the same thing for me. So, and just spent a lot of time with me and mentored me and told me things that I remember to this day. So it's not always the head coaches or the guys on TV. In my case, it was assistant coaches that I worked with as a very young coach, and Mark Coombs and Dennis Helms, who really talked to me about basketball, and I learned a ton from them.
Do you tell your assistants about that, or is that something you want to pass along that maybe assistants could be?
You know, I like coaches. I think that we're the only ones, like people in any field, we're the only ones that understand exactly what each other does. So I like talking with other coaches, and I especially like the coaches I work with. These guys are people that I spend more time with than my own family. It's just the way the job is. So we're close, and we talk about the business all the time. So right now, Horace Owens, Harris Adler, Will Bailey, Sean Neal, Terrence Stewart, that's really my family. We talk basketball and coaching and life every day.
Do you remember going back when you were GA at one of those places, what maybe one, two things that those coaches told you you've carried through?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Coombs, I'll never forget it. I was very young in Minnesota, had an opening, and of course my grad assistantship was up, and I said, Mark, do you think I'd have a chance at that job? And Mark told me, well, John, I don't think so. He's probably looking for someone that is going to be a great recruiter from day one, and you don't have any recruiting experience. So I asked Mark, I said, well, Mark, what am I going to do then? I'm a young coach, and I don't know everybody. And he said, John, no one's going to give you a job because you send them a note. No one's going to give you a job because you meet them at the Final Four. He said, if you meet one true friend a year in this business, you're golden. And to this day, you know, I've been in this business now 26 years, and it would be hard to say I have 26 people that I could call, and on the spur of the moment, they would be there for whatever I need. Most people aren't like that. So Mark really just taught me how rare it is to have true friends, and when you and to be that friend to other people, and how special those relationships are.